Tonight, Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt are born again in Edge of Tomorrow.
Love is a battlefield in Omar.
And Angelina Jolie casts her magic spell in Maleficent. Good evening.
Hello.
Also tonight, saddles are ablazing in Seth MacFarlane's A Million Ways to Die in the West.
Shailene Woodley and Ansel Elgort expose the fragility of love in The Fault in Our Stars.
And Jack Nicholson stars in the classic The Pledge. But Margaret, tell us about A Million Ways to Die in the West.
Well, it's Seth MacFarlane's follow-up to Ted. He's a one-man band, co-producing, co-writing, starring and directing. Here's Albert, a meek sheep farmer in the frontier of America in 1882, where he's not a happy boy. He's just been ditched by girlfriend Louise, Amanda Seyfried, and he's way too aware of the dangers the Wild West holds. Snakes, dunnies, outlaws, you name it. When Anna, Charlize Theron, arrives in town to wait for her gunslinger husband, Clinch, Liam Neeson, she decides to train him up for the showdown he's meant to be having with Louise's new boyfriend, the mustachioed foy, Neil Patrick Harris.
All right, get ready. I'm about to shoot a full load at your cans.
Shut up.
All right,
focus.
okay. Hey! There we go.
There.
All righty. That's one. So all I got to do is get Foy to let me shoot 16 times before he shoots, and then I win.
Side plots include Albert's best friend, the virginal Edward, Giovanni Ribisi, whose girlfriend, Sarah Silverman, one of the town's whores, refuses to sleep with him until they're married. But once Anna enters the picture, the focus is pretty much on the nascent romance. Uneven, yes. Funny at times, yes. Often uproariously so. There are plenty of fart and genitalia jokes, but there are also some sublime moments. It's just that MacFarlane hasn't been able to sustain the risible in this often very silly comedy. It's the first time that Seth MacFarlane has put himself on screen, centre screen, and I'm not sure he totally succeeds as this anachronistic 21st century fast talker in this frontier town. However, Charlize Theron brings weight to her role. She is truly lovely, and although no one is given much to do apart from MacFarlane, she runs with what she's got. She's terrific. Definitely not a PC film. It is, however, a fun ride for the most part.
Well, I'm going to sound like a real grouch.
Oh, just for a change, huh?
Because this is the sort of film I despise. The humour is so juvenile, so adolescent. It's just pretty much a series of four-letter words, as you say, fart jokes, defecation jokes, if that's funny.
It's potty humour, and
it's worse than potty humour. I mean, it is just absolutely inane and pathetic, and I just sat there embarrassed that I was having to sit there. I think it's sad that a lot of people of presumed talent get together with a script as awful as this, and to make it worse, the setting is Monument Valley, which was the iconic area where so many wonderful John Ford films were made. And to make a film as awful as this in that setting, to me, is like throwing garbage at Uluru, you know? And
David,
it's just desecration of the worst kind.
I think Seth MacFarlane's humour is desecratory, if that is a word.
Well, I think it's abysmal.
I do think that my laughter was very guilty laughter, but I'm still giving it 3.5 stars.
I'm giving it 1, a generous 1.
We live in a terrible place and time. The American West is a disgusting, awful, dirty, dangerous place. Look around you. Everything out here that's not you wants to kill you. Outlaws, angry drunk people, scorned hookers, hungry animals, diseases, major and minor injuries, Indians, the weather. You can get killed just going to the bathroom. See those guys over there? The guys who work in the silver mines? See what they're eating? Ribs doused in hot sauce. They eat hot, spicy foods every meal of the day. You know why? Because their palates are so completely dulled from inhaling poison gas 12 hours a day down in the mines. That's all they can taste. You know what that kind of diet does to your guts? They literally die from their own farts.
A Million Ways to Die in the West is currently screening nationally. Maleficent gives a new spin to the familiar story of Sleeping Beauty. Stephen, Michael Higgins, a farm boy from a small kingdom, strays into the neighbouring kingdom of Moors, which is inhabited by trolls, pixies and fairies. There he meets Maleficent, Isabel Malloy, a winged fairy, and gives her true love's kiss. But years pass and the king of the humans attacks the kingdom of the Moors. Ambitious to inherit the crown, Stefan, now played by Sharlto Copley, drugs Maleficent, Angelina Jolie, and mutilates her. The betrayed and bitter fairy queen puts a curse on Aurora, Stefan's baby daughter.
What a glittering assemblage, King Stefan. Royalty, nobility, the gentry, and... how quaint. Even the rebel.
I must say, I really felt quite distressed at not receiving an invitation.
You're not welcome here.
Oh dear. What an awkward situation.
Maleficent certainly looks magnificent. Australia's Dean Semler was the director of photography, and these magical kingdoms are beautifully and imaginatively visualised. Unfortunately, first-time feature director Robert Stromberg, an art director of distinction, brings little other than an exciting look to the film. Giant holes in the plot are papered over by Janet McTeer's earnest narration. Improbabilities abound, and it all seems longer than it actually is. Angelina Jolie is as impressive as possible under the circumstances, but her facial makeup makes her look actually deformed. Aurora, as a baby, is unbearably cute, and Elle Fanning makes her a very bland heroine. Sam Riley has little to do, while Leslie Manville, Imelda Staunton and Juno Temple, as Aurora's three fairy nurses, flit about to little effect. The final disappointment is the dreary rendition of Once Upon a Dream, the song from Disney's 1958 Sleeping Beauty, which is sung in dirge-like fashion by Lana Del Rey over the end credits. Margaret.
Do you know what? I was surprised at this because where is the audience? It's actually a very dark film.
Big hit in America. It opened...
I can imagine, but for very young kids, I would have thought it's too dark. For more sophisticated audiences, the screenplay is so naff. It is really... I couldn't believe the dialogue that these people are asked to spout.
If you're going to have a variation, a different take on Sleeping Beauty, you'd think it might be a little bit more interesting than this one.
Yeah, it just gets some wit in there, some cleverness, or, you know, I don't know what. I'm not a writer. I am a writer, but not that sort of writer. But I thought Elle Fanning was actually lovely as the young princess grown up.
I thought she was a bit dull, to be honest.
Oh, I thought she was lovely. And I think the digitally sculptured cheeks worked for me.
Oh, really?
And I think it looks
beautiful.
beautiful.
What's wrong with her?
No, I mean, you know, she's a fairy. She's allowed to be a little bit different from us humans.
A little bit weird.
I'm giving it 3 stars.
It's very beautiful. I'm giving it 3 as well.
Faster, Diavol, faster!
Maleficent is currently screening around the country. Young adult fiction is certainly getting a resurgence at the moment with so many film adaptations of successful series. The Fault in Our Stars is a one-off, an adaptation of John Green's amazingly successful novel about kids with cancer. Shailene Woodley plays Hazel, whose lungs are now compromised after thyroid cancer. She lugs her oxygen canister around, breathing with the help of a cannula. Reluctantly attending a support group at the insistence of her mother, Laura Dern, She meets up with Isaac, Nat Wolfe, and Isaac's friend Augustus, Ansel Elgort. Hazel and Augustus become obsessed by a book written by a reclusive American novelist, Willem Dafoe, who now lives in Amsterdam. They're determined to track him down to demand answers to the book's unresolved ending. Most of the pleasure of the film, and for that matter the book, comes from Hazel's uncompromising and intelligent attitude towards her illness and her life. And Shailene Woodley certainly does the character proud. She's a fine young actress. Less impressive, but also less impressive as a character, is Ansel Elgort's Augustus, who seems just a bit too eager to please. He's much more precious than Hazel. But their love story obviously has resonance, as does the relationship of the parents to their sick kids. It was directed by Josh Boone, who previously made Stuck in Love. He does a fairly plodding job on Scott Neustadter and Michael J. Webber's adapted screenplay. I'm sure all the fans of the novel will rush to this, but I could not get all that excited about it. David?
I guess every generation you have to have a film about sort of love and illness. Love Story was one for many years ago. I find this really manipulative. Again, I'm going to be a grouch. I find this really manipulative.
It's twice tonight. I don't think
yeah, I know. But I just don't like this kind of film. I don't like being put into this sort of situation of having to cope with what I found really quite unrealistic characters, and I thought the whole side trip to Amsterdam with this impossible character played by Willem Dafoe so unconvincingly, I didn't like any of that. And this whole theme of the film, pain demands to be felt. Well, I felt a lot of pain while watching this film.
I think that's a cheap shot, David.
Listen, I'm making cheap shots tonight.
Well, look, I actually like the fact that there is a little bit of lack of compromise with regard to the novelist in the film. I read the book before I saw the film.
Gosh.
I wondered how they were going to cope with a heroine dragging an oxygen thing around with her all through a film, and I think they managed really well. I think Shailene Woodley is really a talent.
I think she's good. I think she's good, but I didn't like the film at all.
I'm giving it 3 stars.
1.
Again.
1.
What's your name?
Hazel.
And what's your full name?
Hazel Grace Lancaster. Why are you looking at me like that?
Because you're beautiful.
Oh my God.
Let's go watch a movie.
What? Huh? I'm free later this week.
No, I mean now.
You could be an axe murderer.
There's always that possibility.
The Fault in Our Stars opens in national release this week. Our next film is Edge of Tomorrow. In the near future, Earth has been invaded by aliens known as mimics, and most of Europe has come under their control. Major William Cage, Tom Cruise, an American communications officer, reports to General Brigham, Brendan Gleeson, in London, and is ordered to the front line when the human forces land on French beaches the next day. When he refuses, he's demoted to private and sent to the front anyway, though he's had no training in the weaponry and armour involved. After a confrontation with one of the aliens, he finds himself back at the British base. And this Groundhog Day situation continues repeatedly as he teams up with the courageous Rita Emily Blunt, the Angel of Verdun, to locate the source of the aliens' power and destroy it.
Stop, wait. Stop, wait a second. Wait a second. Because I've been thinking. I mean, this thing's in my blood. So maybe there's some way I can transfer it to you.
I've tried everything, it doesn't work.
I mean, have you tried all the options?
Oh, you mean sex? Yeah, tried it.
How many times?
All right.
By its very nature, this is a repetitive film, but Doug Liman and his screenwriters, working from a Japanese book called All You Need Is Kill, have kept it bubbling along thanks to one of Tom Cruise's better performances as the hapless Cage and the always alluring Emily Blunt. Noah Taylor has a terrific turn as a scientist who can answer the puzzling questions, and another Aussie, Kit Gurry, turns up as one of the soldiers. Dion Beebe is the cinematographer, and it's a pity he goes along with the predictable Lyman wobbly cam style, which is very annoying in some scenes. I can't say I was always quite sure what on earth was going on, but Edge of Tomorrow, despite its flaws, despite its feeling of déjà vu, manages to be tolerably entertaining, mainly because of its nicely calibrated sense of humour. Margaret?
Yeah, no, I pretty much agree with you. Hey, we're agreeing on this
For
one.
once,
Hey,
yeah.
I think, you know, Tom Cruise can be a really good actor when he's and I mean, I don't think this is a grand script for him, but he does, you know, a very good job with what he's got.
I think he brings some subtleties to it.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, I think it looks good, but it's amazing to me that we're seeing this same story over and over again.
How many alien invasion films have there been
Another
lately?
alien invasion. One man who has to get to the source of, you know, all this power and
Must be something in the zeitgeist that there are so many films on this
Well, I
theme.
think it's always been like that. I think, you
Seems to be
know,
more than usual.
1950s horror movies were a bit like that too.
But then there was a reason. What's the reason?
Oh, they were
now?
allegorical. Well, I think this one is too. Look, I think this is an entertainment, and it's a lot of it is very well done. I love the fact that there are so many Aussies in it. I'm giving it 3.5 stars.
It's good, but it could have been better. I'm giving it 3.5.
You all right, Cage?
I think I broke something.
What?
My back. The only thing I can feel in my lips.
Now listen carefully. This is a very important rule. This is the only rule. You get injured on the field, you better make sure you die.
Why?
Last time I was in combat, I was hit. I was bleeding out, just not fast enough. I woke up in a field hospital with 3 pints of someone else's blood, and I was out. I lost the power. Do you understand? I think we better start over, don't you?
What?
Oh, it is terribly far-fetched. Edge of Tomorrow opens around the country this week. One of the strong films featuring in a certain regard in Cannes last year, and which gained a nod from the Academy in the Best Foreign Language category, was Omar, from writer-director Hani Abu Assad. The 3 young men play around at target practice until they actually shoot an Israeli guard. From Adam Bakri and Walid F. Zuaita as the Israeli agent who develops a relationship, almost a protective one, towards Omar, really ground this film. Director Hani Abu Assad doesn't particularly take sides. He's just intent on presenting a scenario that he's witnessed up close, a hopeless one that's marred by violence. There's something very economical about this film. It's tremendously tense and moving. And the love story offers a poignant background to the story of these 3 young men. David?
And it's a very, very vivid depiction of what it must be like for Palestinian youths in the current very sad circumstances, although I believe it was entirely filmed in Israel.
Yeah.
But I think it really gives you a major insight into all of this. And it's a very powerful film. I mean, it's powerfully acted, it's subtle, it's intelligent, and very, very sad, I think.
Well, it's also insightful. You know, I think in we've seen this before in film, in documentary. You know, these young men that are caught between, you know, 2 warring sides, and it really...
There's no way out, there's no solution. Yeah.
No, I mean, look, you know, there are good films around, and this is one of them, I think. I'm giving it 4 stars.
Me too, 4 stars. Omar opens in limited release this week, and on our website there's an interview with writer-director Hani Abu Assad. And now for this week's classic. The 4 feature films the actor Sean Penn has directed to date have all been, in one way or another, examinations of characters under extreme conditions. His 3rd film, The Pledge, made in 2000, is based on a book by Swiss author Friedrich Dürrenmatt, written in the 1950s. The first film version of the book, titled Assault in Broad Daylight, was made in Switzerland in 1958. In Penn's version, the setting has changed from a small Swiss town to Nevada. Homicide detective Jerry Black, Jack Nicholson, is on the eve of his retirement when he becomes involved in one last case, the terrible rape and murder of a little girl. In this key scene, he breaks the news to her parents. The mother is played by Patricia Clarkson.
Who did this?
We intend to find out, Mrs. Larson.
Do you promise me that you will?
Yes. Yes, Mrs. Larson, I promise.
By your soul's salvation? Do you swear? By your soul's salvation on this cross, made by the hands of our daughter?
Yes. Yes, on my soul's salvation.
And so, by his soul's salvation, Black continues the investigation after his retirement, though his colleagues Sam Shepard and Aaron Eckhart are convinced that an Indian, Benicio del Toro, is the killer. Black is unconvinced. He keeps probing and becomes convinced that a serial killer is at work. And as his obsession grows and he becomes involved with a young single mother, Robin Wright, with a daughter the same age as the other victims, it seems as though he's setting a trap for the killer. Sean Penn is a wonderful director of actors, and Jack Nicholson gives one of his finest performances here as the man determined to keep the promise he made. A strong supporting cast includes Vanessa Redgrave as the dead girl's grandmother, Helen Mirren as a psychiatrist, Mickey Rourke as the father of another victim. It's a film that grips you from start to finish and at the same time raises any number of questions about the way an investigation of this kind is conducted. Margaret.
Look, you know I'm a major fan
of
Sean Penn as a filmmaker. I think he can do no wrong. I think this is wonderful. But, you know, if you look at it, all of his films have this undercurrent of grief. And I think never more overtly than in this, because it starts with this terrible grief of this family and the fact that, you know, he's this cop that has to see this child that's been so brutally murdered. And he's also interested in, you know, the moral dilemmas within each of the films that he's made. The Crossing Guard, where another great performance by Jack Nicholson, Indian Runner and Into the Wild. You know, I love what he does. I love the actors he chooses. I think they do their best work with him. I think he's extraordinary. I'm so glad you chose this.
Well, yes, I mean, I know he's a favourite of yours, but for me, this is his best film. And look, have a look at this. This is a powerful scene with Jack Nicholson trying to persuade his colleagues, played by Aaron Eckhart and Sam Shepard, to keep the investigation going.
This did. This convinced me. Ginny's drawing of the porcupine giant. I have reason to believe, based on my conversations and interviews, that Ginny Larson made this drawing just days before she was murdered. I have reason to believe that she was meeting with this man, seen here as a giant, all dressed in black, on a regular basis. This is not an Indian. This is not an Indian type. And you see this car here, this big black car? This is not a truck. This is not a maroon truck like Wadena drove. This is a big black station wagon. And these right here, these, according to an interview I had with a girl named Betsy Fisk, these are porcupines.
Okay, whoa, hold it. Porcupines and giants and Craig, you gotta get a hold of yourself, Jerry. The case is closed.
I made a promise. I made a promise to find Ginny Larson's murderer. I intend to keep it.
Oh, they're all so good, and it's such a searing tragedy, this film. It's wonderful. Sean Penn's The Pledge.
And don't forget, the Sydney Film Festival opens tomorrow night with the Australian premiere of the Nick Cave docudrama 20,000 Days on Earth.
And the festival closes on Sunday the 15th of June with the new film by Taika Waititi, What We Do in the Shadows. And that's the show for tonight. So good night from us.
Good night.